My background was not very good. I was abused as a child for almost 9 years, growing up thinking my stepdad at the time was my real dad and he was the one abusing me. I was sexually abused by a friend that lasted for almost 2 years. And then when I was 15, I was traveling in a big dump truck with my brother's best friend, and I fell asleep at the wheel, and we rode that truck 4 times. I was thrown almost 200 feet across the interstate, and I woke up on my knees, and I ran across the interstate. The only thing I remember at that wreck was there were so many lights and so many people yelling at me, asking me if I was okay. And as I approached the truck, there were 3 boys that had pulled him out of the truck, and they were all wearing youth camp shirts. And I can remember the back of their shirts with the big cross on there. And they prayed over him, and he took his last breath right there. So that was the first person I ever saw pass away, and it was because of me. For my drug addictions that I've experienced over the years, I think how it started was not really having any parental guidance. My mom had her hands full with 4 kids and trying to maneuver through all that, and we were pretty much free will to do whatever we wanted to do. So I didn't really get into hardcore drugs till later, but I did a lot of marijuana, smoked a lot of dope, and drank. And then after I graduated high school, that's when I really started with cocaine, and that was the beast who conquered me and took over my life. I've OD'd 3 times, and if I'd have been there by myself, I wouldn't be here today to speak about it, because somebody was there to beat on my chest until my heart started back again, and I did it the next day. I met Christy when I moved here, about 5 months after I moved here. I met her in October of 1985, the fall of '85, and I met her at McDonald's. Me and my older brother, Kevin, we were cruising through there, and she was parked to the right-hand side of the McDonald's there, and I saw the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life, and I made my brother go back around again just to make sure she was real.
My background is very different from Keith's background. I had a great childhood. I had, in my opinion, the perfect mom and dad. My dad, I would say, made it really easy for me to understand how much your Heavenly Father can love you. My mom got saved when I was about 7.5 or 8 years old, and she actually led me to the Lord when I was 8 in my room with a little Bible tract and read me the story, and I immediately knew that I needed Jesus in my heart, and I became a Christian, and that was it. Like I was sealed. The deal was sealed with Jesus, and He really started working in my life, and I didn't know a lot about I didn't know anybody that had done drugs or was on drugs or struggled with that, or I really didn't know anybody that was divorced or had hard times in their lives, any kind of hardship. So when I met Keith, that was a whole new world.
And I think our friendship is what really started first. I mean, we were just really good friends, and obviously that led into us dating, being high school sweethearts.
He was a little bit cocky. I guess I could say that. He had a little bit of a party streak that I was unaware of, because apparently parties happen after, kind of like late at night when you go home from a regular date, I guess. So, I didn't know about some of these things. So we dated for about a year, and then kind of wised up to some things, and so we broke up. And it was sad. I was really sad because I really felt like that's not what you want to be.
And so after me and Christy broke up, my stepfather, Ken, committed suicide. And so basically, I took care of my grandparents and just did a lot of stupid stuff. But I was always trying to find something to cover up all the pain that was inside. There's always been a huge void growing up. We were apart for almost 18 years. I was going through a divorce, an almost divorce, when Christy walked. I was selling real estate, and Christy walked into my office because she had some land that she had to sell. And after I got divorced, just busy trying to run kids around. I had 3 kids, managing a divorce and getting through all that, and just trying to get back on my feet. And then I got that land sold for Christy, and 6-7 months later, I just called her just to see how things were going, because she was not good when she walked into my office. So we just started talking, and she was already in the process of getting a divorce from her ex-husband, and you know, it's just friends. We were just friends, and we became closer friends. And
he was able to give me pretty much a detailed account. And again, I just listened, and I was sad for all the things that he had endured at his own choice. But then he went deeper and told me more about all the different things that happened in his childhood. Then, you know, through his marriage, that's when I really just said, "Do you know Jesus?" And Keith said, "No, I don't think I do." And he asked Jesus to come into his heart, and his relationship with the Lord changed so much. Our relationship even changed even more.
We started dating after she was divorced. About 6 months after that, we started dating, and which was the best time of my life, dating her again.
And it was a great time.
And we dated for, you know, a little bit over a year, and then I proposed to her, and she changed my life, and she said yes.
Keith and I got married, had a wonderful first little bit. Things started changing. I started noticing little things, mainly his demeanor. And I remember thinking, I am stressing him out, and these kids are stressing him out. And I tried to just kind of accommodate and take the stress away, or, you know, that was what I thought at first. We were too much, and he had to, you know, he was sorry that he had married me, maybe, or sorry that we had all these kids, or, you know, I didn't really know what to think.
After we got married, the enemy just came after me with everything he had, and I got right back into injecting cocaine in my body. And I'm telling you, it was the first 3 months of our marriage, and I'm in the bathroom. Here I am, 35 years old, just married my high school sweetheart, the woman I've never stopped loving, and I'm in our bathroom in our house in Colonial with 6 kids and shooting dope in my arm. I mean, my life had just went from the best thing that's ever happened to me to complete hell, like that. And I had no sense of direction. I didn't know where I was going. I was just in a loss, and I was in a darkness that I could not get out of. And it's not that I didn't want to be that man. I didn't want to be that person that was looking in the mirror while he's sticking a needle in his arm with your family out in the living room.
3 months into our marriage, found out I was pregnant. And so not too long after that, I told him, we're going to have a baby. So 6 is going to soon be 7.
And so what did I do? I go right back out there and do more. It's a sense of I've never made anyone proud. I've never had somebody say, good job. I'm proud of you. And I bore all those scars from my past, and I just went full into destruction of my body, my marriage, my relationship with my kids and my friends.
So 4 days before I had Grace, so I'm big and pregnant, he tells me 4 days before we have her, I got to be honest with you of what's going on. And I thought, okay, good, just tell me. I can take it. And he said, I'm addicted to cocaine. I was like, I don't know anybody that is addicted to cocaine that's ever been okay. And I don't know what this means. And I don't, and I was mad. And so I said, you're going to clean up the best you can, and you're going to be at the hospital when I have Grace, and you're going to be fine for that day. You can do it for a day, whatever it is happening in your body right now. I don't understand, but be there, because she's going to remember that her dad was there, because this isn't the end of our story. And did I believe that? I had no idea, but I trusted that if I listened to the Lord for what I needed to do, that's what I was called to do. And I got the kids all ready and set. They stayed the night at a friend's house across the street, and I said, I'm going to have this baby tomorrow, and I'll be home tomorrow night to put you all back to bed, and we'll have a baby tomorrow. So got to the hospital, did just that. Keith showed up, and he helped me. We had a great little day together, and Grace came beautifully, and she was just our little miracle.
I was broken to pieces as a husband, a father, and I turned my back on God. I did, because I was so much shame and guilt that I had that was going on in my life. I couldn't even look up at him. All the things that God had done for me over those years, all the abuse he kept me from. He kept me here on this earth for all those years that I shouldn't be here. And then I turned my back on God. I turned my back on my family and my precious wife. I knew that if I could just stay clean for 2 months, I could get past it. I could get past what I was doing. And I just couldn't. I would fail time after time after time. And I knew my time was almost up. Either I was going to die trying to get clean, or I was going to get clean.
And so I was flipping through the TV, and TBN was on, and I remember hearing Daryl Strawberry's wife at that time, and she was saying, I feel like God says, give him one more chance. If you don't give someone a fighting chance where you have a plan and you go in and say, I'm going to fight for you, and here we go, this is your last chance, and I mean it, then you'll never know. And it just really resonated in me, and I thought, okay, Lord, that's what we'll do. And I called Keith, and I said, I feel like I'm to give you one more chance under these rules.
We surrounded ourselves with about 4 people that really believed in us, believed in me. And one of those people was Pastor Joe and Dawn Marie. We started going counseling with Dawn Marie, and it was that was one of the things that really led me to, I think, get better.
And I remember telling him, I love you as a friend. You pretty much stink as a husband, but, honestly, because I was angry. There was not a lot of, it was rough, but I still, that friendship that we had, I just wasn't going to let that die. And I said, we will work on the marriage part later, but right now, I want my friend to be okay.
And so it was spring break 2006, and she called me at my apartment and said, I'm going to give you one more chance. I'm going to let you move back into the home, and this is your last chance. And from that day, I have not touched cocaine. I don't know if it was the thousands of prayers that I threw up at God, and I know the thousands of prayers that people were praying for me, but from that moment I moved back into the house was the last time I ever did cocaine, and that was over 15 years ago.
Into the marriage, I brought 3 kids, Tyler, James, and Mary Beth. Keith had Blake, Madison, and Parker. So Tyler was my oldest. Tyler is who made me a mama, and he was a challenge growing up. He was spunky and active and a handful, never a dull moment for his brothers and sisters and his new now stepbrothers and sisters. He was kind of the glue for the family. He would notice if someone was hurting or upset, and he would say, Mom, go talk to her. I know you can help her. Somebody's crying, go talk to her. And so I'd always say, oh, okay, I would have missed it, and so I'd go just to, do what he wanted me to do. The last day, he was at his friend's house, and it was a crazy day. Things that were supposed to happen didn't happen.
And he came into the room and wanted to borrow some money, and I let him borrow some money for his gas, because that's how Tyler was. He always needed a little bit of gas money. And I just remember Christy coming into the bedroom when I was sleeping, and she just said, what do you mean Tyler's been shot? And so I jumped out of the chair. We got in the van, and we drove to the emergency room. We're making phone calls. People are calling us. People are texting us. We're calling my mom. She's calling her mom and dad. Just everything is chaotic. We didn't know what happened. All we knew is that Tyler would be taken to the emergency room. And as we got there were so many kids coming into the emergency room. Tyler's friends and family. All of our family was coming up. And, 15 minutes went by, 20 minutes went by, 30 minutes went by, 45 minutes went by, and there was no Tyler. Well, that's not good. Because if it was an emergency, he would have been there a lot quicker. Well, the reason why is because Tyler passed away at the home he was at. He was accidentally shot in his heart, directly in his heart. He died instantly. I was so mad. I went outside and I was mad at God because we had just spent all that time going through all that. And she is so sweet. And why would you do that to my wife? Why would you take that away from my wife? And I struggled with that for a while. I didn't give up on God because I knew He didn't give up on me.
It was it's just something I couldn't really comprehend. And so I wanted to get all my kids together, and I just wanted to go home. So we, in the car, and we go home, and when we walk in the house, it's our house. You have to go up the house we lived in then, and to the top of 2 flights of stairs. And when I got to the top, there was probably, I don't know, 50 kids in our living room. And I had an overwhelming urge to get a piece of paper and a pen and start writing. And I mean, I was like, I have to do this right now. And so I went in by myself, and I had just pouring out of me so many things I was thankful for Tyler and his 17 years. And it started from everything that he had given me, just not only in his life, but what he had taught me, you know, as raising a child and all the things. And it just, you know, it was like you see someone in a movie writing, and it was like my hand couldn't write fast enough. And I know it was God. You know, I know so many people were praying for me in that moment, and that God's grace just really flooded my soul with thanksgiving. That's not normal. There was not a soul that was not only surprised but completely shocked, including myself. And so I thought, I am going to rely on and look to every minute, every second, every step of each and every day to the one who is not surprised. And I knew that God had a plan and a purpose for Tyler's life. And I hear Tyler just like I did when he was a little boy. And when I see a mom that has lost a child, he kind of felt him tugging on me, saying, "Mom, she's sad. Go help her. You can." And I can. And I will, because, you know, God brought me through. He's done great things with our children, helping them to live through a horrible loss of their brother. And he has shown his faithfulness. And it takes time. And it takes courage. But I have no idea. I had no plan. I had no instruction book on this either. But I didn't have to, because if you are waking up every day and asking God to direct you, He will. And He did. He's given us everything that we needed the day He came to earth for us. And the day that He was raised from the dead. I mean, everything we need, we have in this moment. And He is not surprised. So my whole thing was, I'm following Him.
You know, through that time that I was really suffering with addiction, she was the one who was a strong one. She was the one who stayed faithful. And then after we lost Tyler, the roles reversed, and then I became the father that I was meant to be, the husband that I was meant to be. And from that time period on, I believe we have one of the strongest marriages that you could ever ask for. She's still first and most anything, she's my best friend. And I can't imagine a day without her. Hey.
A lot of people, I think, tell their story because it's pretty and you can control the narrative. And this story isn't pretty.
No.
And the narrative controlled us for a while. But God is the author. We all have problems and we all have hard times to go through. And when we're out there and we can encourage each other and point God to the center of how we get through things and what He's done for us, and look back and say, what are we thankful for?
I always said that the shame and the guilt that I held on for so many years, I can't even imagine. I know how I felt. I can't even imagine to know that Jesus bore all that on Himself for every single one of us. All that shame, that guilt, the loss, the hurt, and He took it to the cross for all of us.